You've probably heard at some point in your life that the Earth is warming, and as a result, Arctic ice is melting. There's no debate about it, our planet is heating up. Since 1880, the average global temperature has risen by 1.1 degrees Celsius. And 16 of the 17 hottest years ever recorded have occurred since 2001. NASA estimates a 95% probability that the current warming trend is a direct consequence of human activities since the mid-20th century. And 97 out of every 100 active climate scientists agree that human activity is extremely likely to be the main cause. As a result, ice around the world is melting, causing sea levels to rise. The oceans rose by 6 centimeters during the 19th century. But during the 20th century, they rose by 19 centimeters, more than 3 times faster than the previous century. NOAA estimates that global sea levels could rise by as much as 2.5 meters by the year 2100. If that happens, the consequences would be devastating. Entire island nations like the Maldives, Marshall Islands, Kiribati, and Tuvalu would be submerged and cease to exist. Their entire populations would have to relocate elsewhere. This would create a situation where hundreds of thousands of stateless people would need to find new homes. By 2050, there could be 150 million climate refugees worldwide, and by 2100, that number could reach 2 billion, about 18% of the global population at that time. But there's an even worse scenario. What would happen if all the ice on Earth melted? If all the ice in Antarctica, Greenland, and the world's glaciers melted into the ocean, sea levels would rise an incredible 68.3 meters. At the current rate of melting, such a catastrophe would take about 5,000 years to unfold, but it would drastically reshape the geography of our planet. North America, Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, most of San Diego, and Los Angeles would be underwater. San Francisco would become an island, and San Jose would be destroyed by the waves. The San Francisco Bay would expand so much that it would completely swallow Sacramento. The Gulf of California would stretch so far north that Palm Springs would become a coastal city. On the Atlantic coast, the ocean would swallow Corpus Christi, Houston, New Orleans, the entire state of Florida, all of Delaware, almost all of Long Island, and the cities of New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Boston. South America. 2 new inland seas would appear, and cities like Buenos Aires, Montevideo, and Rio de Janeiro would be completely underwater. Europe. Europe would be one of the hardest hit regions. The entire Netherlands would disappear beneath the sea, along with nearly all of Denmark and half of Belgium. The British Isles would become more of an archipelago, and London would be totally buried underwater. Northern Germany, including Berlin, would be entirely flooded. Venice would have long since been claimed by the Adriatic Sea. Istanbul would also be underwater. The Crimean Peninsula would become Crimean Island. The Black Sea and the Caspian Sea would merge, meaning Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Azerbaijan would no longer be landlocked. Africa. Africa would be the least severely affected continent, but Egypt would still suffer heavy damage. Both Alexandria and Cairo would be submerged. Middle East and Asia. The Persian Gulf would swallow the entire countries of Qatar and Bahrain, as well as the city of Baghdad. India and Pakistan would be badly damaged, and the entire country of Bangladesh would cease to exist. In China, hundreds of millions of people would be underwater, including those in Beijing and Shanghai. The cities of Seoul, Pyongyang, and Tokyo would also be flooded. Australia. A new inland sea would form inside the continent. Antarctica. Antarctica would become more of an archipelago, but unlike the frozen wasteland of today, this new Antarctica would likely be habitable and easily colonizable by future humans. So what can we do to prevent this nightmare future? Reducing humanity's reliance on fossil fuels is perhaps the best way to slow down climate change. Several countries already produce at least 75% of their power from renewable sources like solar, wind, and hydropower. Global investments in renewable energy rose by 57% between 2008 and 2015. The European Union alone more than doubled its renewable energy production between 2000 and 2013. And recently, 195 countries signed the Paris Climate Accord, agreeing to work together to combat global warming. The stakes have never been higher, but we are closer than ever to a true energy revolution. If you want to learn more about climate change or take action yourself, I strongly encourage you to watch the upcoming film, An Inconvenient Sequel. Watching the film is a meaningful step, and it goes into far more depth than I ever could in a short YouTube video.